Hey, I'm Jordan,
I'm Oli.
and welcome to the Real Cut podcast, where we give you our unfiltered take on life. Hey, how's your
Well,
day been?
it's been good. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's my day off. So
Yeah,
always great days on those. I've been, it's funny. We talk a lot about our time's not our own,
yeah,
right?
right.
And most of today, well, we're doing the podcast. I guess that's for me, but also, it's a business a venture in
Mm-hmm.
that sense, right?
Yeah,
It's also I got to work out this morning, which was great.
yeah.
And
What's like your typical workout routine?
like just on Mondays or just in general.
I guess each day. I know we've touched
Well,
on it, but yeah, I don't
yeah.
know.
Well, I break it down. So there's all kinds of different ways you can do it, and everybody has a philosophy on it, right?
Yeah.
I generally break down mine and I try to isolate each area. So I'll do like a chest day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I usually throw in some abs at the end because
Yeah,
abs are a pretty fast recovery.
yeah.
And then the next day I'll do like shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
back, and then arms. And that's kind of how I break it down.
Mm-hmm.
When we're doing our running and stuff like that and a lot of biking, I don't work my legs out as much
Right.
because I've
When we're
noticed.
training for something like specific.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Um, Otherwise, yeah, that's kind of how it looks. Certain
Mm-hmm.
days, maybe if I go on an extra day, I'll throw two and I'll do a back and shoulders or
Mm-hmm.
mix it up,
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
How many days a week do you go to the gym?
Five usually.
Decent.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah,
So I'm on phase 2 of 75 Hard, and we talked about it the first time, so I'm
absolutely.
not going to dive into it. But so lately for me, it's been getting up at 5 or 5:30 and doing 45 minutes of yoga.
Oh well,
I've noticed that my back and shoulder and neck pain almost completely goes away
really?
when I'm doing yoga every morning.
Okay.
So that's pretty crazy,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? Yeah.
That makes sense though, because getting older, I adopted in stretching and kind of
Mhm.
doing warm-ups before my workout.
Mhm.
I used to just take the pre-workout, feel like, it's like animal and just jump in,
Right.
right? And you're right, like I would get hurt more, I would
Mhm.
strain more, right? And things like that.
Mhm.
And then I started doing the prep and it's amazing. Like I've been able to lift more, I don't get as hurt.
Mhm.
Obviously you're still going to be sore if you're lifting, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it's not the same. Like it's not a hurt sore.
Mhm. Exactly.
So I agree with you. Just
Yeah.
that makes sense. Like the yoga helping out overall.
Yeah. Most mornings I do yoga, but then I can alternate kind of my second workout between kind of more simple ones like a walk or more intense ones like hit or a run.
Awesome.
So, yeah, so that's what I've been doing lately. It's working pretty well. But
Yeah.
it's hard to get that second workout in for me personally.
Oh, I bet.
So, but that's
Yeah.
the whole point of the challenge.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, if it was easy, it wouldn't be the hard 75 or hard 90, whatever,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, it'd be
Yep.
the easy.
Right.
Everybody be doing it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like business, just like,
Yeah.
the skills that we have and,
Um,
so
I think it takes a certain type of person to
yeah.
run a business, almost you have to have a cowboy way of life. Not saying let me be clear. I just mean you have to be able to go against the standard.
Yeah.
Does that make more sense?
Yes,
Yes.
but why is that a cowboy way of life?
Because Cowboys instant I can explain
Okay,
this. I'm
I
ready for
need
this
to
all
hear
day.
this.
So Cowboys chose to live out on a prairie to forge their own way. So instead of living in town where it was safe and secure with other people, they decided to go out and do their own thing and to make it on their own,
Isn't
right?
it so that they could raise food for the people in the town and make their
Well, certain
living?
ones would do that, absolutely. But I mean, you have a smaller town, right? And then you have other people who were just like settlers, and they were cowboys as well, right? They were just
I
going out
didn't
and
know.
claiming land.
Mm,
And yeah, I mean, you have to raise food either way. So they were
mhm.
farming and doing their own thing, but again, self-reliance, right? They weren't going and trying to just to live. But I mean, you
So
have the
you're a cowboy.
kind of steel horse I ride.
Mhm. Are you wanted?
I had dead or alive. Had to
Preferably alive because we just started this podcast.
absolutely
So
had to.
to be real.
You never know.
Well,
But
I know you were talking today about something in traffic. I didn't hear your full
oh
story,
yeah, well, it
so
was
I'd love
just
to hear it.
it's funny. We're talking about being a cowboy, right?
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes cowboys can be associated with being brash or not patient. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I mean, from the show Yellowstone, like for sure, they're always punching each other.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So
that's how
that's
you
got to be
solve
real
some
life, right?
things.
All
That's
cowboys are just like that
all
show.
cowboys are just like yellow.
Yeah.
You nailed it. Yeah.
It's like how all real estate agents are just like selling sunset. We
Absolutely.
just
Yeah.
like are glamorous all the time.
All the
Yeah.
time. Well, that's exactly it. So I was being a cowboy today,
Okay.
and I was coming to the studio so we
Yeah.
could film this podcast
Yeah.
and record it. And there's traffic downtown in the city we live in.
Right.
And it's an area right by the library where it filters down to one lane.
Oh yeah. I
Right.
know that
You know the
spot.
area.
Mhm.
Yes. And it's temporary. It is what it is. But I thought I could be smarter, right? And so I was like, oh, I'm going to turn right and then I'll take a left and like pass this all up, right? And instead of just being patient, it probably would have taken me, you know what I mean? Like just waiting and I would have filtered through like everybody was
Yeah.
doing. I take it. And then
Oh
that
no.
road, like there's a guy out blowing like leaves and everything, and he looks at me and he points like the other way that I want to go. And I'm like, oh, I'm not turning that way. And then I look up and it's an only that way. It's a turn right
Oh,
only.
like
So I
you couldn't
essentially
turn left.
no. So I had to turn
Oh.
around and I backed I essentially ended up right back where I was.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
circled myself for
Oh.
nothing,
Oh,
you know.
that's a lesson right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
Took way more time than I would
yeah.
have had to, you know?
Oh, yeah. Learning lessons is hard. I actually today for my team meeting, we
Yeah.
have our team meeting once a month, and I always do an icebreaker question,
Okay.
but I don't like normal icebreaker questions. They have to be a little different and more
Right.
creative. So like today's was, and I'll ask you this too,
Okay. I'm excited.
if you could be a villain,
Okay.
like a, not a superhero, but like a
Scar.
superhero villain. Wait, no, 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 there's more to it.
Okay.
Okay, good to know that's your Disney villain.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. But if you could be a villain, what would your name be? Yeah. What would your name be, and what would your
Villain.
what would
Super
your
villain power.
yes.
Is that what we're trying to say? I love it. I'm the
Okay.
one on point with words today.
Okay. Okay. Wait,
Um,
I'll tell you mine just because it
oh,
reminded me of karma.
yes.
I would be karma. That would be my
Oh,
name,
okay.
and it would be I would inflict bad karma on good people at my bidding,
Ooh,
whatever it is. Isn't that
okay.
horrible? I'm
Yeah.
mad at myself
Why?
about it
That's a
because
great
I'd be so
answer.
like I would
You're not
rather be
actually doing it.
I
You don't need to be
know.
mad at
I'd
yourself.
rather be a superhero called Karma that inflicts bad karma on bad people.
Right, that's a
I
great
feel
one
like that'd
too.
be so
But that
satisfying.
wasn't the
But I
question.
know. So,
Yeah.
but what would yours be?
If I was a supervillain,
Yeah.
um, I would be I would be Beasting Man.
Beast oh, be
Beasting
beasting?
Man, Beasting Man, and I would
Like bee space thing.
yes.
Okay.
And then my power
Yeah.
is to make you feel like you've been stung by a bee and you have the allergic reaction. So I'm just
Oh
making people with like big
no.
lips,
Oh
Popeye
no.
forearms,
Hopefully not the
just causing
dogs. Have you ever
mischievous.
seen the dogs that got stung
Yeah,
by
that but it's
bees?
okay.
Don't
So
do that. You can do
I
people all day
okay,
long.
I'm not gonna do a dog. I mean, if I'm a villain,
Yeah.
actually, you know what? I'm probably gonna get some dogs because I'm a
Oh,
villain,
I
right?
know.
To be fair,
Now I
yeah.
don't like this question anymore. That's so sad.
Well, you can always revamp it, right? You know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think it'd be funny to see people
Yeah.
walking around with just like a bee
Yeah.
sting's not gonna kill you. It's not gonna hurt for too
I
long,
mean, unless
right?
you are like
Allergic.
really allergic.
That's
I
I didn't
know.
think about that.
I know.
I just became fatal. I'm
Yeah.
a fatal
Well,
villain.
I mean,
I
that's
tried to
what
be
they
like
are.
silly.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
definitely.
Here's my new okay, I got another one.
Okay.
Cupcake Man. And I smash cupcakes in people's faces. That's what I do all day.
It's great.
Yeah.
I hope I run into Cupcake Man.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean it's
not
a blast.
mad at
No, I mean
that.
it could be worse, right?
Yeah.
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 I'm gonna ask you like silly historical questions, and even if you answer it right, I'm gonna answer with cupcake for you, and then boom. I don't know where I'm going.
That's what that's kind of superhero.
That is.
That's
Well,
like, I
depending
mean,
on how hungry you are that day.
that's true.
If I was dressed really well, so side note, so like kind of on the same thing.
Yeah.
I was in Vegas one time and my friend and
I was gonna
I swear I'm gonna make
say,
it.
that note,
I'm
one
gonna bring
time
it
I was
around.
in Vegas.
I'm gonna bring it around, I promise. I know it's at first you're like, okay, let's
Yeah.
I'm interested. Let's see where this is going.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Let's do it.
so I'm in Vegas and we're at the is it MGM? I forget the name. I'm not the
Yeah.
best with
Yeah.
names.
Yeah.
Okay. And Steve Aoki's
Okay.
DJing, right? And it's my
Yes.
first time ever seeing him.
Yeah.
And anybody who knows him and how he DJs may already see where this is going.
Okay.
So I'm there, I'm suited up, My friend Trish got me in to this VIP area. We're talking with girls. She's my wing
Yep.
woman that day. We're killing it.
Yep.
And and all of a sudden I look out to the crowd where everybody's at. And did you know that Steve Aoki, what he's known for? Do you know him? He's a
I
DJ.
know who he is.
Okay.
I don't know details
It's
about him.
okay. It's
Okay.
okay. I didn't know this either.
Okay.
So what he's known for is taking big sheet cakes and tossing them onto the crowd, right? And so he sits there and he grabs these sheet
Yes.
cakes and he starts throwing like six out and just nailing people, like
Oh
covering
my
them. Like we're
God.
talking Costco sized sheet cakes, right? And I'm sitting there, and this is how I knew I was starting to get old. Because I looked there, I was like, man, if I got nailed in my suit, I'd be so angry right now. That's what we're
Yeah.
coming back to, right? Because you could
Yeah.
get somebody angry.
I know you're right.
The other
Yeah.
side of it is I started thinking like, there's girls with like heels down there. Like they're gonna trip. Somebody's gonna break an ankle. Like who's cleaning all
Yeah.
this up? This is ridiculous.
Your dad told
Right. My
you.
dad totally side came
Like,
out.
oh my
And then
gosh.
I'm like,
Like,
oh yeah, I'm in Vegas drinking, having a great time. I need you to shut up, for a minute.
yeah. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so, Cake Man.
New birthday party idea,
Ooh.
you know.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm down. That sounds like a wonderful
We just need somebody with
tradition.
the mop following after. It's like,
Seriously.
but we're
So
responsible.
what if we did start that as a tradition though? Like we buy an extra cake and whoever's birthday it is gets a small cake smashed in their face.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, okay, so the only transition to that, or not transition to that, nope,
The only
no,
caveat?
yes,
Okay.
totally different word. Uh,
Yeah.
is that they can't know when it's coming.
Okay.
Like obviously they're gonna know
Yeah.
it's their birthday and it's
Yeah.
coming,
Yeah.
but not like it's not like you have to surprise them
Yeah.
because I feel like that'd make it more fun.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as it's not me.
Well, no, it's gonna be everybody. So you're part of everybody.
Okay. All right.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I think I'm the next birthday up.
Yes,
Actually,
you are. Don't wear a
I
suit
didn't
on
think
your
about that. I'm
birthday.
not gonna- No suits, no birthday
It's
suits.
like you're like wearing like plastic like windbreaker. Like, oh, I had no idea.
I don't know what's going on. I just thought it seemed like a nice outfit
Yeah.
for that, you know?
All right.
I
That's a
mean,
good villain
it's
for
late.
sure.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
Hmm.
would be your second up? Do you have any others?
Nope.
That's fair.
Nope. That was
Yeah.
all I could come up with.
I think
Felt
that
like
was
it
a
was
good
pretty
one.
decent.
Yeah.
So
Karma's a
yeah.
great one.
Yeah. Yeah. The patience thing. Like I actually 3 days ago I was driving down a one-way road. I remember which one. I remember. I think it was just
Fair enough.
yeah, it was just
It was a road.
one of the downtown one-way streets.
Yeah.
And there was this kid, probably baby driver,
Yeah.
driving the wrong way down
No
it,
way.
right towards me, but real slow.
Yes.
And he was driving so slowly, so I could tell that he had realized what happened. He
Yeah.
was like, "Oh my gosh, I am driving." So I could
Like
tell
I've made a
he was
horrible
still
mistake.
moving, but yeah, oh, and I could just see and sense the terror. And so I like stopped my car
Yeah.
so that way he knew I wouldn't like just drive into him. And
That was
I
nice of
like
you.
pointed him towards the closest street and like he slowly turned in. Probably just the worst day of his life.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's like, I'm the type that when I see someone driving slow, making a mistake, needing to get over last minute, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, they're probably having a bad day," or, "Oh, maybe they're not feeling well," or maybe their wife is, in labor, or like I
Yeah.
just like don't care. I give them
Right.
all the space. Like I have never had like road
That's
rage.
good of you.
So yeah,
I'm
I
not
don't
that
know.
person.
I don't think most people are. When I talk to people, I'm like, man, that gives me more time to listen to my
Yeah.
music and just like make someone's day
I
better.
guess like it just depends on the day. Like, cause
Yeah.
if I'm relaxed and I'm just
Yeah.
cruising and I have nothing
Yeah.
to do, I
Right.
don't care. I'll let anybody in front of me. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm in a rush, and even then though, the only ones that actually truly bother me are
Yeah.
like if you're heading like north in downtown, right by the police station, there's
Yeah.
like these two lanes.
Yeah.
One of the left lane ends up turning into a left turn only.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yes.
talking about?
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
the right lane keeps going, right? It
Mm-hmm.
turns into that. So
Oh.
tons of people always do last minute lane
Mm-hmm.
changes, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that bothers me because
Yeah,
it's
because
like
they
you knew
didn't
this was coming.
know. There was one time actually. This was like there
Okay.
this was on I think Sophie's first day of school.
Yeah,
And so I every once in a while for a special occasion,
yeah.
she'll say, "Mom, can we go to Starbucks?"
Okay.
Don't do it very often. It's usually like a first day of school
Yeah.
or a birthday or just like only a few times a year.
Right. It's not a
Yeah,
terrible thing.
right. And
Yeah.
so it was one of those
It's not like
days
you're
where
giving
it
her
was
crack or
just
anything.
Sophie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, yes, we can go to Starbucks. We
Yeah.
have like 10 extra minutes. The Starbucks where I live, it goes super quick. There's not a lot of people in the line.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah. And so on this day, I got a little, not rage, but I was like
Ooh, here it comes.
firm in my stance and I won.
Yeah. Tell me
So
about
which
it.
was also satisfying. So we were getting in line. There's a certain way you're supposed to go in there. There is a
Okay.
cheating way that some people go in, which is so it's kind of like a T. So there's
Yes.
like the top part of the T is how you enter the drive-through.
Okay.
There is an intersection into the parking lot that's like the long part of the T, the
Yes.
vertical one. And so that's just an entryway into the large parking lot, which has many buildings in it, including the Starbucks. You are not supposed to go from there straight into the line. You're supposed to make a right or a left into the parking lot.
Right, because I'm with you
Yeah.
because it's
It's
a
not an entryway
pathway.
to the Starbucks line.
Right.
It's an entryway into the large parking lot. So you either turn left to that side, those side of the buildings, or you turn right. And if you turn right, you can loop into the Starbucks line. So it's just that's the
Perfect.
way it is. That is the legal way that the road is drawn out. There's
Right.
no opinion about it. That's just the law.
It's one of those
That is
definites.
how it is.
Yeah.
Yes. And everything's clearly marked as well for
Right.
Starbucks. So I always go in the way I'm supposed to go in. I get in line the way I'm supposed to get in line. And I'm in line. Perfect timing. We are going to get our coffee. We're going to get her to school right on
Right.
time, right? No, there's this lady that gets into that part of instead of turning into the parking lot, she just chills there at the end of the turn lane, expecting to like go in ahead of me.
Right.
Like when you're merging two lanes, you typically alternate cars,
Yeah,
right?
it's a zipper.
And yeah, and that's how it should go all the time, unless you're not supposed to be part of the zipper equation.
Right.
Unless you're like bullying your way in and you're not following the
Because
laws
you're
of the
trying to do your
road,
own
because
thing.
then you're trying to invent the fact that you should be part of the zipper, but you're not. Like, lady.
Exactly.
So it was one of those situations, and I was like, no, like, that's not cool. And so I just was like, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so like I am moving forward, and then she starts like trying to get in there. And so now, because she's done it improperly, she's blocking all traffic that should be passing in the parking lot that she was supposed to turn right
Of
on.
course she
So
is. Yeah.
she's blocking it, and
So
there's
now no
cars
one can go
behind her.
anywhere.
No one can go anywhere because she's not supposed to be there.
Right.
And she's waving at me, honking at me, rolling down her window. I
Like it's
just
your
keep my
fault.
windows up and I just am talking to Sophie and just, minding my own business. And she starts moving forward. And I realize if something doesn't happen,
Hmm.
she will either get in there or we're going to collide.
Right.
And so I keep moving forward slowly. And so does she. Pretty soon we're inches away from each
No
other.
way. Did
And
she hit you?
what?
Oh, sorry. I was like,
Oh,
I'm just
she
like
was
on.
like waving her arm. I didn't look at her. I see her
Yeah.
waving everything. So I'm like, and Sophie's like, Mom, maybe you should let her. And I'm like, you know what? Any other day I would, but I don't want you to be late on your first day of school. And
Hmm.
she's not doing it properly. If she
Right.
was doing it properly, absolutely. Or if we weren't going to be late because of her doing something improperly, then fine. But
Absolutely.
but this is one of those times where it's like we're going to go ahead and just go when it's our turn.
Well, and
And
maybe she needs to learn the lesson. Yeah.
yeah, and like, man, she was going nuts. And I was like, no. And so I thought maybe we were gonna like grind against each other.
It was
I
that
was
close.
pretty sure, but I was like, it won't be my fault. So I'm just gonna go and just hope to God that she stops. And so it's not like it was high
And she
speed.
did.
We're going like half a mile an
Yeah.
hour. She stopped. I am so shocked our cars did not touch. It had to have
Yeah.
been an inch away.
It's
And
so
then I
crazy.
just got in and got a coffee and left. And
Yeah.
oh man, like I was like, no. So that
Yeah.
was the only time I've ever gotten moderately
I think that's
upset.
perfect though.
But
Like,
I didn't like break any rules. I was not
yeah.
rude.
Well,
I
no, but
never am
all you
rude.
were doing was like I'm sure that lady was feeling the stress of everybody behind her,
Yeah.
being angry that she
Yeah.
was blocking an
I
area she
know.
wasn't supposed to, right? So then
Yeah.
she's trying to instead of taking on like the responsibility. Like she's
Yeah.
trying to put it on you, like it's your fault. Like you need to let her
I
in. No, you just need to go in
know.
either the right way or behind.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
I
you're not the
know.
next one in. You
Yeah.
did, and sometimes people need to learn that. I have okay. So what irks me, like what really bothers, like is if you're driving down the road, you have a great momentum going, right?
Mhm.
And then you have green lights down the way, and then
Yeah.
everybody stops in the middle of the road because somebody wants to cross in the middle of the road. Not
Oh.
at the crosswalk,
Oh, just like
just
jaywalking.
jaywalking.
Yeah.
It pisses me off so much
Yeah.
because one, like you're like I've seen people hit. I've
Yeah.
seen accidents. People hit
Yeah.
other cars because they're stopping because somebody's
Yes,
jaywalking, right?
yes, I know.
You know, and
People use their
especially when it's
crosswalks.
like 50 feet from another crosswalk. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like there's an option, you
Yes,
know?
I
Like I
know.
get if you're in an area where you don't have an option,
Yeah.
those small few
Yeah. I
situations, but
know.
that's one thing that that grinds my
Mhm.
gears, as they say.
Yes. Yeah.
Crumbles my
Y
cookie.
Yep.
I don't know if that's one.
Yeah, no, that's another, like, good one.
Is it?
Yeah, I feel like that would be a good thing.
Okay. To crumble your cookie?
Yeah, like, 'cause I love crumble cookies.
Wait, the brand crumble cookies?
Yes.
Okay,
That's
I
what it
meant like
makes
to
me think of.
crumble it though.
Oh,
Like
yeah, I was
yeah,
really
yeah.
happy if you
That's the well
crumbled it.
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, crumble
Yeah,
cookies are good.
I know.
That's another thing I'm gonna bleep out. I bleeped out the other one.
Oh, yeah, 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 you
Yeah.
can just bleep out the word crumble, and
Yeah,
people don't know what we're
I
saying.
know. We're gonna have to keep
Yeah, yeah,
bleeping it
yeah,
the more you say
yeah.
it.
So today
I'm just joking around.
so today, we're sharing just a few, like, horrific workplace stories.
Horrific workplace
Yeah,
stories.
because I mean, you and I are entrepreneurs now. We have
Absolutely.
built our own
I've got
businesses,
such a horrible
which
boss.
like
Hasn't let me take a
you
vacation in
for
3
a long
years.
time.
Yeah.
And so we've worked hard to get out of other
Absolutely.
people's workplaces and form our own,
Yes.
which also has different horror stories,
Absolutely.
which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like workplace horror stories.
Yeah.
I have one that someone wrote in on.
Oh, and on that note, listeners, write
Hmm.
them in. We want more. This is one of the things we'd like to do again, with more participation as well, because we want to hear those hilarious stories.
Yeah. Yep. So when you write them in, because so far, I mean, this is our fourth episode.
Fourth episode,
So right now we're getting them written in, kind of with the overview of the story, which is awesome.
which is great.
Love it.
Yes.
But if you have time, write it in as much detail as possible because we want to get to know you. And if you want it anonymous, let us know.
We
We
can
don't
do
have to
that.
talk about you or we can change your name. But we want to know about you and, your personality and how you tick and the things that happen to you. And we want to be able to envision, the people that you're talking about. Like we want to be there with you. And
Right. Paint the
so
picture.
it will, yeah. So feel free to put as much detail as you want, and you can also change the names if you want. So, but we have some good stuff to work off of for
Yes.
sure.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Let me just share one though that someone wrote in.
Okay.
All right. All right, here we go. So I'll leave her anonymous because she didn't specify if I should
Gonna say
share her
or
name
not.
or not.
There.
But she says that she was physically assaulted at her property
Ooh.
management job.
What?
Oh. Okay, so I'll read it the way she says
Okay.
it. I was physically assaulted at my property management job off of Lancaster the day after Christmas 2023.
Of course.
So, like a year ago.
Jeez. Yeah.
An unsavory looking lady came into our office off the street, and I didn't see that she had a belt in her hand. Nope.
No.
She bursts in and says, "Is this where they change the money?"
What?
I guess, like, into quarters?
Yeah.
Maybe she wanted to do her laundry?
Maybe.
Or, like, go to the arcade?
Right. Also, what is I never understood the term unsavory. It's like she's not sweet. Is that what it means? Like, but like savory is the opposite of sweet as well, right?
I
So then, like,
mean,
wouldn't
when
she
it's
be
talking
savory if she
about
wasn't sweet?
food, I mean, I know for sure that it means, like,
Like, I know I'm having a tism moment, but like, it just that's what like,
yeah, like, savory now I gotta look it up.
right?
So I know that it means, like, not the best or
Right. No, agreed.
slightly,
Agreed.
you know the meaning of
Yes, I
it.
know the meaning. I'm sorry. I'm just sidetracking us. Yeah. Because I
Okay.
know you're right. It means like not a good person,
Yeah.
right? I just wonder how it got to that point. That's another.
Huh. All
I'm
right.
just sidetracking us.
So, okay. So it was formed by merging meaning not,
Right.
with savory, meaning pleasant and agreeable.
Oh, okay.
So, first it was used to describe revolting tastes, but now it applies to just about anything that figuratively leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Perfect. I love that. Thank you for
Ah,
looking that up. Okay.
okay. Great. So, an
Awesome.
unsavory looking lady. Okay.
Unsavory looking lady.
Oh, yeah. Belt in her hand. Is this where they change the money? And I say no. Oh my gosh. And before I could even do anything, she whips belt towards my face
What?
and the large metal buckle hits me in the side of my
Oh
face.
my gosh. So she
Gosh.
straight just walked in and assaulted this lady with a
The,
belt.
the
Who does
buckle
that?
in her
Like, I feel
face.
like I've seen that in a movie before.
Oh
Like somebody, Indiana Jones, he has a whip.
gosh. And it's just like,
That's crazy.
yeah.
So she ended Indiana Jones her.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And she wasn't even like one of their tenants. Like it sounds like it was just some random.
So just some random home, like, I'm gonna say homeless, but
She could have been.
she could have been,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, who knows? Like,
waving belts
there's
around
some psychos that are in
that have
homes.
homes. Yeah,
Many.
I've met some.
Many.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, I know. Everybody knows one.
Everybody knows at least
Hmm.
one.
Okay, so luckily she had her glasses on that day. The
Okay.
police came, they took a report, but never found her.
Wow.
That's terrifying. I ended
So the
up,
belt whipper is
yeah,
still
she's
at
still
large.
on the loose. So if you see an unsavory lady with a belt
Run.
and possibly quarters
Ooh.
falling out of
Or
her
she's looking
pockets,
for them at
or
least.
she's looking for
She's looking
quarters
to make
and
quarters.
she's like whipping around her belt with the buckle.
I need
Man, I
change.
feel like I should carry around a belt with a buckle.
I mean,
I
it's
feel
not a
like that
bad
could do
idea.
some damage if someone was like,
Oh yeah, well, I mean, like I've got a nice size
yes,
buckle, and if I pulled that
yes,
off, it would mess somebody up. It's pretty solid.
yes. Oh my
Yeah, they'd have a
gosh.
Vulcan print on their head. Just-
Yeah. Oh, okay. And she did get a few days of
Good,
leave
good.
for work. Oh, she ended up getting workman's comp for a few days of leave. Excellent. And
Okay,
she got her broken glasses replaced.
awesome.
What a terrifying
That is
day.
a terrifying day.
Ah,
I'm sure. I'm sure. What if it was like she woke up and it's a beautiful morning, having a great day and everything. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like everything, the
like in
sun's
a
out. Yeah,
sitcom.
exactly. And then all of a sudden, like she's like hanging out doing her day. She's like, wow, what a great day. And then that lady
Uh-huh.
walks in,
Oh my
just
gosh.
messes her whole day up. You know what I
That's
mean?
so
Yeah.
sad.
That's all. I'm glad. Well, it sounds like she's okay now, though. No long-term
Yeah.
damage or anything, so that's good.
Oh my gosh. This one, this one, short and sweet, but
Okay.
she says, I was working in the bakery. It's at a local store here
Okay.
that is like a grocery store
Right.
and also serves food. And as we know, I mean, have you worked in food service before?
Oh yeah, it was one of my
Okay.
first jobs.
Where?
Yeah, Mount Angel Sausage
Oh,
Company.
yeah, 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 I
Yeah.
knew that. And I've worked in plenty, and there are things that are just because there's, like, a situation with, like, an insect or a rodent,
Right.
it doesn't necessarily have any reflection on
The business
the
itself. Right.
establishment.
Yes,
It is
agreed.
a building, things can happen,
We
they
have
take
animals all around
action,
us.
they remove it, like, that happens in our houses.
Absolutely.
As an agent, there's beautiful homes that have, like, giant rat infestations, like, in the attic, like, or you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
there's just so
Yeah.
so I will
Well, we
say
share this
it's
world.
nothing negative about this place
No.
because I'm sure they took it's actually a great place. But anyway, so she was working at the bakery. Um, their dishwasher reuses the same water every day. I don't know anything about that sanitation wise. I assume
Okay.
it's probably fine, but I don't know. One day at the end of the day, I drained the water and found a dead rat inside the dishwasher.
Oh
And the
wow.
next day, of course, she washed all the dishes.
Yeah. How
A
could you
dead
not?
rat in the dishwasher, like, how's he even get in there?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, where did they find? Like, I have so many questions. Did they find holes into the dishwasher? Did he
Yeah,
like pillage his way in because maybe the
yeah,
dishes had like food on them still?
yeah.
Where
Or do you, like, climb in there
well,
from the
yeah, maybe like they had it down and it was
Yeah,
loaded with food in there
yeah,
on the dishes, and then when they weren't looking, he climbed in.
yeah.
Or she climbed. It could have been a girl
Ooh,
rat. You know, we shouldn't
yeah.
just assume.
I
Girls
know,
rat
you
they get into
really
trouble too.
yeah, mhm.
You know.
Girl rats are hunters too.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe
absolutely.
better.
Some would argue. It's
Yeah.
like lions. The females are the ones who are the
Yeah.
hunters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
pretty
Same with
badass.
rats, probably.
Right.
So,
Those are
yeah.
great stories.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
have any that you
Um,
can think of?
I was trying to think of I had one and then I've lost it. It was about, you know,
You gotta think of it.
I know, I had
Yeah.
it.
If you think of it,
I
write it
will.
down because I'll tell a story,
Okay.
a
Yeah,
workplace
no,
nightmare story,
absolutely.
from myself. But if you think of it,
All
write it
right.
down
Yes.
because I want to hear it.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Oh, I got it back.
oh yeah,
Yeah, should
let's
I
go.
go?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I won't forget mine.
All right. I appreciate that about you.
Okay.
Um,
Watch, I would forget it.
yeah, that's totally how it's gonna work. Okay, so it was while I was working at a cell phone company. I'm not gonna say which one.
Hmm.
And it wasn't anything the cell phone company did, actually. It's more of like situations that happen there,
Yeah.
if that makes sense,
Hmm.
right? So there was a gentleman that came in, and you could tell he probably has some help with living.
Hmm.
I'll say it that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure what the correct way and all that. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So he's great though. He's got his own account, and he comes in with these two girls,
Hmm.
and the girls talk about how they're actually his helpers,
Yeah.
and they need to move on to his account because
Hmm.
they're gonna help him out every month and everything like that, and it's just easier to pay all their own phones
Yeah.
in one. There were a couple things that came up that kind of triggered me at first. Like
Hmm.
they didn't want to transfer their phone numbers. That's usually like I've had my phone number since I was in my 20s. Like
Yeah.
it's usually most people want to keep the same number.
Right.
And then they wanted like certain phones that are like red flag phones too for new accounts and things like
Hmm.
that, right? Um, the gentleman though, he was there. He has full control of his account.
Hmm.
We talked with him. He said yes. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So yeah, I went and I talked to one of my supervisors, and I think that supervisor at the time was more worried about flirting with the girls than paying attention
Hmm.
to the situation
Hmm.
because we went back and he was like, "No, it's good." And I'm like, it
Oh,
wasn't though.
yeah.
It's not. I don't feel good about it."
Yeah.
Because I was trying to get it out, right? I was like, "Hey, I
Yeah.
feel like something's up, but I can't like everything's within guidelines, but there's also
Right.
red flags. So like there's something
Yeah.
I can't
You
put my
did your
finger on."
best though there. Yeah.
Right. So they get two new phones, not worried about setting it up,
Yeah.
which is another thing, like, at that time.
Mhm.
Nowadays, I don't know if that'd be such an issue. A lot of people are pretty good at setting their own phones up,
Yeah.
but at this time, like, everybody wanted you to sit there and, like, monitor them as they set their
Yeah.
phone up. Because that's all you did. Like, I didn't do
So,
anything. I just was
mhm.
like, "Oh, yeah, put your password in.
Do you
Yeah,
think they
this is
were
where you enter
reselling
this."
them?
Yeah, so that's kind
Yeah.
of what happens
Mm.
is, so long story short, the gentleman comes in a month later, and he points at me and he's like, you're the bad man." And I'm like,
Mm.
"What?" And I'm available. We're kind of all kind of waiting to help people out. And yeah,
Yeah.
I tell her,
Oh,
I'll take care of him. And I take him over to the counter and I'm like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on? Like, where are
yeah.
your helpers? Like,
Yeah.
what's the situation? How can I help?"
Uh-huh.
And he tells me, he's like, "You're the bad man. Like, my account shut down." So I pull up the
Mhm.
account and he's suspended. Now he's got
Yeah.
an auto pay set up
Yeah.
that pays his same amount every month, right?
Mhm.
Well, with the two new lines on there,
Mm.
there's like activation charges. There's
Yeah.
charges for like the phone, like there are charges for the phone
Mhm.
cases and things like just all
Yeah.
kinds of things, right?
Uh,
And so come to find out, these two girls picked him up downtown,
mhm.
kind of saw him as a target,
Yeah.
and then took him around to every single cell
Oh,
phone company in town
no.
and did the same thing. He had an account with us already. I know
Yeah.
because I spent my afternoon with him
Yeah.
calling all the other companies and being like, "Hey, this may sound weird,
Yeah.
but did this happen recently? Can you check?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying, like, this isn't fraud. Like, I am a Verizon rep."
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? And all that. And they
Yeah.
looked it up and they're like, "Oh, crap." And I'm like, "Yeah, you need to call
Mhm.
your fraud department because
Yeah.
you're not going to get anything. I can tell you that now."
Yeah.
And then I called like the police department with him and like set up
Uh-huh.
an liaison because he was taking the bus.
Yeah.
So they met him to help him file his charges and stuff
Uh-huh.
and get
Yeah.
him taken care of. And I made sure as far as the company I was working for too, that he was
Mhm.
taken care of and those were taken care of off too. And
Yeah.
you know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I was able to
Yeah.
clean it up, but
Oh,
it's just
man.
those you do see those people
Yeah.
that just want to take advantage of others and
You
it
know,
blows your mind.
when I worked at a jewelry store,
Yes.
oh my gosh, I saw a catfishing situation and it
Oh,
reminds me
tell
of
me about
that.
that.
I don't think I've ever told you.
I don't
Oh
know. Yeah.
my gosh, it was so sad.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was this man that came in
Hmm.
one day,
Okay.
and he was definitely upper 60s
Okay.
in age. real sweet, well spoken, like
Yeah,
retired like businessman, like just a great, easygoing, good vibes from
yeah,
this guy, and I
absolutely.
really liked him. And he said, I am here to buy an engagement ring. I'm so excited. I love of my life. I'm so excited to marry her, and I'm like into this. I love the love
It's my
stories.
favorite part of working in jewelry.
Yes,
Yes.
and so I was like, "Oh my gosh, congratulations. Let's go look at them."
Yeah.
And so we sit down and we're picking them out, and as usual, of course, I'm like, what is her style?" Sorry, so rude.
Yeah.
What's her style? Like, do you think she likes kind of classic and simple? Do you think she likes all the like bells and whistles, like big diamond, little, because you
Absolutely.
used to do it.
Yes.
And so I was going through my thing and also trying to get to know her.
Okay.
And so he just wasn't sure. He's like, "Well, I'm actually not sure yet. Probably more glamorous." And I said, "Well, do you have a picture of her?"
Yeah.
Because usually I can look at her clothes and her existing jewelry and know within an instant what kind of engagement ring she would like.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he showed me a picture of her. It was really grainy.
Hmm.
Like, it wasn't a regular photo. Like,
Yeah, like a
it
screenshot.
looked like it was either a screenshot
Oh, no.
or yeah, or it was like, when you download a blurry
Or like a
image,
picture of a
a
picture.
picture of a picture of a picture of a picture, like,
Right.
it was something, and it was a busty blonde,
Okay.
red
Of
dress.
course.
She was maybe 28,
Hmm.
28 to 30,
All right.
just glammed
Oh
out
yeah, earning it.
and, like, not the average
No.
lady.
Yeah.
And, of course, she was beautiful,
Beautiful.
but with the resolution of the photo
Hmm.
and with the way she looked, but at first I was like, "Okay, like, maybe it's just a relationship that benefits them both."
Right.
Who am I to I
Everybody
don't
has their own
whatever,
relationship.
like, go for it, dude, like, whatever. But then I said, "When are you going to be proposing?" Like, we had picked one out, we were just kinda playing around with it, like, matching bands with it.
Yeah.
Like, "Well, I actually you're not gonna believe this, but I actually haven't met her in person yet."
Oh no. Oh no.
And I knew all the red flags just turned into like,
Ding
"Oh,"
ding.
I was like, "Oh." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "She's supposed to be flying in this weekend." He goes, "She's actually tried to fly out twice
Oh, I
before,
bet she
and the
has.
first time her mom got sick, and then the second time her mom had to move in with her because she had a fall."
Oh man, did she need some money to
And
help out
I
with those
was like,
situations?
I didn't ask that because I was processing,
Right.
but it was very obvious.
Very obvious. Yeah.
And so within me, I was like, I got to do something so this man does not buy this ring,
Yeah.
or that it's returnable if
Absolutely.
he does. And so I was saying, maybe wait till she arrives. I'll hold it for you. And when she arrives, come in and I'll custom fit it to her
We'll
finger.
finalize it.
Right. And
Absolutely.
so, because the sale doesn't matter to me if
No.
it is going to end up screwing someone over.
Absolutely.
And so, or creating disappointment or
Right.
whatever. So he said, "Okay, yes, that's fine. That's great. I'll come back Friday." And I was like, "Okay." And so he came back in Friday
Yeah.
without her.
Okay.
And he goes, "Oh my gosh, you won't believe it."
I bet I will.
He's like, "Her flight, she wasn't able to get on her flight. And
Sorry.
so it's just going to be delayed about another month." And of course, I didn't ask if he had been sending her money because I
Of
couldn't find a way
course.
to
To bring it up.
bring
You
that
don't want to be
up.
like just in his face with it.
Right, and if I knew him personally, of course,
It'd be
but
different. Like if
it's
I told you
glaringly obvious.
that I was in this situation,
Yeah.
you would obviously be like, tell me you're not
Yes.
sending her money.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And he had no other photos of her.
Oh man. That's
Yes.
a degular.
I know. He
Yeah.
had no photos of her,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just in love with her, never met her, and this was the 3rd time she
Mm.
magically couldn't get on a flight last minute.
Right.
So then
Poor
he
guy.
said, this is kind of the last straw. Then
Okay.
he said she wants me to send her the ring.
Mm-mm.
I was just like, I am not, I did not feel right giving it
Good
to
for
him.
you.
And
Yeah.
so I said, listen, like, we can totally do that. And I don't remember what solution I had, but it was
Right.
one that protected him.
Good, good.
That way, if he, like, basically, if he gives away a ring,
Right.
that is like he gave it away and would still owe the money for it.
Right.
And so if it gets returned, then he gets the money back, but if she, say, kept it or sold it on her own, he still foots the bill,
Right.
which makes sense,
100%.
you know? So I was trying to give him solutions in a way that protected him.
Right.
I don't remember what it was because that was 6 years ago,
Makes
but
sense.
or 7 maybe now. But turns out at the end of the day, he did come in brokenhearted. He did
Mm.
not give me any reasons, but he was almost in tears and said it didn't work out. So
Return the ring.
I'm sure, yeah. And so I'm sure he found out or something, but isn't that so sad?
Yeah, that
Oh,
reminds
so
me, I was similar.
sad.
I think it's good that you did that
Bless
though.
his
Like
heart.
that's
I'm
part of
just,
like
oh,
sales is if it's going to create a negative environment all around, right? Then you're smart to try to avoid it rather than
yeah.
skip the sale. I there was one we couldn't avoid. I had a
Mm-hmm.
gentleman, young man, about
Mm-hmm.
19, 20, came in,
Yeah.
wanted to buy an engagement ring. We're like, great, tell me
Yeah.
your love story, right?
Right.
That's part of it, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, we just met a week ago. And all like Anshar, my boss and I are both like, no.
Oh,
Like, no, like, we're so happy you're in love. How
yeah.
about a pendant? How about
Yes.
have you thought about this?
Yeah.
You know?
Or
And
not
he's like,
just ring even.
right. Have you? Oh, and he's like, no, I love this woman. I'm gonna
Mm,
ask her to marry. Like, this
mm.
is my future wife. Like, and we're like, okay, does she know? Like, have you guys talked about it yet? Like, how are you feeling so sure? You know,
Yeah.
we're trying to like, and not being rude to him, but trying to be like, as guys, like, kind
Yeah,
of
no
coming at him,
problem.
like, hey, we just want to have your back, because
Yeah.
telling him too, like, this is a lot of money you're going to be
Yes.
on the line for,
Yes.
because he wants
Yes.
to use the credit card and all that,
Mhm.
right? So it's not like he's just
Mhm.
dropping his own money either.
Mhm.
And so, right. And so we're trying to, I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm a salesman. I'm here to sell you stuff. So
Yeah.
if you're going to buy
You want to buy
something,
it.
I'm happy to sell it to you.
Yeah.
But also, let's talk about the situation and make sure that we're doing the right thing, because
Mhm.
we have tons of other gifts that you can give her. I
Mhm.
have tons of
Yes.
gifts, right? If
Yeah.
you want to give her a gift and you feel very passionately about her, I'm not going to squash that.
Right.
But are we sure about an engagement ring
Yeah.
after a week? You know what I mean,
Uh-huh.
right? And yes, yes, yes. So we're like, okay, we get him set up, get him a very general kind of solitaire, beautiful. And when I say
Mhm.
general, I shouldn't talk it down, but like one that could go for anybody kind of
Right.
feeling, right?
Mhm.
And he's out the door. And I mean,
Mhm.
and in grands spent, not
Mhm.
just a couple
Mhm.
hundred,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And he comes back, same kind of thing, like a week later,
Mhm.
brokenhearted,
Without the ring?
no with it.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
yeah,
At
so,
least he
so we
could
got him,
return it and move
yeah,
on.
taken care of.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh.
but yeah, like it felt so bad for him. You know what I mean? I was like, what
Oh.
happened?
You
He's like,
know.
she said no. And I'm like,
Oh.
I'm sorry, bud. I was really pulling for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh.
Because you don't want to see anybody unhappy, right? But at the same time, you're like, yeah, kind of felt
Yeah.
like I knew that was coming. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
Oh, so sad.
yeah.
Yeah, I have one more from the jewelry
Awesome.
store. And we might, have someone else write one in the meantime. But yeah, so it happened right towards the end of my
Okay.
employment at this jewelry store,
Yeah.
which I learned so much so I'm definitely not, it's nothing to do with that. I just happened to
Absolutely.
be working on a street in Salem, the same street actually that the girl that wrote in about the belt buckle bandit.
Yes, the belt buckle bandit.
Yeah, like
She's a
same
triple
street.
B.
Let's just put it that way.
Yes.
Same
Yeah.
street. And so there are all sorts of unsavory characters.
Yes.
And so I was working there behind the desk doing my thing, had two of my staff members working. I was managing the store at the time. And oops, a gentleman comes in and he's older. To me, he's in his
Right.
60s, so older. And so he comes in and I notice that he's staggering. And I'd actually seen him a few times before and he was just kind of this, biker guy, like really
Right.
gruff, but had never had this demeanor about him. Like he
Right.
typically like comes in. So like the last time he'd come in a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
had or before this, he just turned in his yellow gold diamond band to get resized.
That makes sense.
Cool. So he comes in this night to pick it up and he's staggering, big time, slurring. And
Mm.
at one point he started nodding off against the wall,
Oh no.
like nodding off.
Yeah, like
Like
falling asleep.
there were some things in his system.
Absolutely.
And so I was just feeling what in the world, you know? And so he was barely able to tell us he was picking up the ring. And I was like, oh, wow, it's this guy.
Yeah.
And he said, I was in a motorcycle accident a couple weeks ago. And so they have me on all sorts of medications right now. And I'm thinking, ooh, he like took all his
Right,
medications.
is he driving himself?
That's
Yeah.
yes. And I was like, okay, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And then he started telling me how he was like clinically depressed and wanted to commit suicide
Yeah, no, that's sad.
with his gun. And
Right.
that was really sad and obviously
And
like
scary, I'm sure.
so scary. And he definitely made it sound like he either had the gun on him or, but he didn't say that though, but it
Right.
was implied that he
Yeah.
carries it with him and he was thinking of using it. And so, you know, of course, like, by the way, suicide hotline, pull it up.
Oh, yeah,
I'm just
reach
gonna
out.
put it
If you
out
need
there
help,
just
yeah.
because, um,
We've all been low, we've all felt
yeah,
horrible, just know that you're not alone.
totally. It's 988. So at the time he was saying this, I was pretty speechless at this point because he was acting very erratic, falling asleep, nodding off, talking about this, talking about a firearm. And so I just was so conflicted and confused and also like terrified.
Yeah, I
And he
bet.
gets his ring and then he's like flopping around. And I just knew he wasn't in his right mind
Absolutely.
chemically or it was something he'd taken. And
Right.
so I was like, I think he freaking rode his motorcycle, like because he had said
He's
he got a
two-wheeling
new
it?
one.
Yeah.
And so I looked at the people that I was working with and I said, you know, honestly, like I used to work in a bar back in the day. If someone couldn't drive safely, I would call them a taxi. And it would be on the house because we obviously don't want anyone impaired and driving,
Ever.
you know? And so I, was like, "I'm gonna just go offer to call him an Uber, I'll just pay for it." And so he's, like, just had staggered out the front doors, and so I walk after him, and I'm like, "Hey, sir," like and he kinda, like, turns around, and I'm like, "Is it okay if I call you an Uber? I'm happy to get it for you." And he turns around, and I don't know if you've, like, had someone look at you this way or even if you saw it in Finding Nemo, but the
Yeah.
black shark eyes.
Yeah. I know what
Like,
you're talking
where
about.
they're, like, dead inside,
Mhm.
but they're scary, like,
Yeah.
so scary. He turns around and looks at me with those dark shark eyes,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Ugh," and he was like, "What did you just say to me?" And I'm like, "I'd like to call you an Uber." I was like, "What?"
Oh, you're like
And I was just, like, held open the door because 'cause I'd, like, popped outside to ask him,
right.
and he kinda started walking towards me slowly and slowly started turning into a run directly at me,
Shut
and I
up.
don't know if he has a firearm on him. Either
Right,
way, he's
right.
a 6-foot man
At this point,
that
he's acting imbalanced,
is
yeah.
not in his right and so I I've never felt so scared. I don't think I have ever felt that scared because there was someone that
Wow.
scared me directly running at me, like, with dead eyes, and I was like,
Right.
"Oh, no," and so I, like, run into the mall, and I was very far from my jewelry store. I was very close to the competitor's jewelry store.
Right. I know which one you're talking
Yep, and so I was like, "Well, you know what? Like, even though we're competitors, we've always been polite. Like, I know their
Right.
name, they know my name." So I bolt in there and I yell, "Let me hide! There's somebody with a gun chasing after me!"
Oh, I bet they were just like, "What?" You know?
Like, "What?" Yeah, and so I dove behind their bar, like you know, counter,
Yeah.
and
They
I
died
was
back there too with you?
hiding. No, the manager he was not a big guy. He was,
Right.
you know, and bless his heart, he like stands in the doorway, made himself as big as possible, and the man
Oh,
charges over and he goes, "Did you see a little girl?" And he's like, "Nope." And he starts trying to get in there. And the manager's like, "Sir, you cannot come in here. You cannot come in here." The other guy that was standing where I was hiding, he called the police. And as he slowly like fed me chocolate from the counter,
I
just like
love that.
snuck it under there while,
Smart man.
while was calling the police on the other
Yeah.
side.
He's like,
And
"Have something to calm down." Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and the guy couldn't find me, and he was yelling and saying he was looking for me.
That's so
I was so
crazy.
scared,
I
and
bet you were, that's fully
and
understandable.
so I was like, "Oh my gosh, I am gonna die today. I'm gonna die."
Yeah.
And so the man actually left
You're
the
like, "The fortune
mall.
teller was right. This is how I
Mhm.
die."
Oh my gosh. gosh, that would be a horrible way to die. There's like way more interesting ways. Like,
Yeah,
like I want to die happy. That would not have been my
agreed.
idea.
Yeah, or like bungee
So, but
jumping
he
or
did
something.
end up getting arrested that day
Yeah.
and booked. So, I wish him the best. Obviously,
Well, hopefully you got some help.
he had gone through a horrible car accident. He was on all sorts of things and he was struggling with something. So, of course, all
Yeah,
the grace in the world to him, but
of course.
man, like, whew, I hope he got some help. That was
Yeah,
terrifying.
that sounds so scary. Like, especially, I mean, I could only imagine anybody running at, even as a
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
anybody running at you.
Yeah.
It's scary. Like
Mhm.
even if that were to happen to me, like I'd
Yes.
be like, "Oh,
Like,
whoa,
it's
what's
not like
going
he
on?"
wanted to come talk to me. He
No,
was
yeah,
running at me, so there was some sort of physical thing that was going to happen.
absolutely, yeah. I know he changed his
Ugh.
whole demeanor, and then to try to fight his way to you,
Yeah. Ooh, it
which is
was
weird
like
because like he obviously was in a he obviously was looking to cause trouble
right.
and just needed a catalyst,
Yeah, it was
right? Which is
so
funny. The night like you being nice is the catalyst. Some people are like that.
I
Like I had a client
know.
that I haven't seen. Well, I kind of fired him. Um, But he was an older gentleman,
Yeah.
right? And he came in and he normally was on point all the time. He'd always show up on time for his appointments. He was
Mhm.
great, right? So one
Yeah.
time he didn't show up. No phone call, nothing.
Yep.
And he's an older gentleman.
Yeah.
So I kind of got worried about him,
Yeah.
if we're being honest,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so then the next time he scheduled in and he came
Mhm.
in, and I was really happy to see him actually.
Mhm.
And Andrew Kreitz was in the chair, and I know he won't care if I mention him.
Yeah.
Um, and so you can always ask him about it too if you want on the side.
Uh-huh.
But the gentleman comes in and I'm like, "Hey, how you doing? Like, good to see you. I was a little worried about you. I didn't see you last time." And I don't
Mhm.
mean this to call him out in any way.
Right.
I mean it like I'm
Yeah.
not. There's a smile on
I
my
missed
face.
you.
I'm happy to see you. I'm glad you're okay. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And he's like, "Well, and he just instantly like has this attitude,
Uh-huh.
right? And he's like, "Well,
Offensive.
yeah, just defensive.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to cancel online, but I couldn't cancel online." And I was like, oh, I'm just thinking at this point, like, oh, we're having a policy discussion, right? You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? I'm the business owner. I make policy,
Right.
right? So it's
Yeah,
up to me to tell
absolutely.
it, right? And so I tell him, well, that I was like, that's I did that, so you can't cancel within the same day. You just have to call in, let me know.
Uh-huh.
That way I can reschedule somebody else maybe who wants that spot. And he's like, "Well, you made it pretty clear you don't want call-ins." And I was like, "What?" And I
Wow.
was like, "No, I think maybe you're confusing where it's frustrating when some people call you like at 3 in the morning for a haircut and they can just schedule online." That conversation we had. I was like, "But to be clear, next time, just, go ahead and give me a call."
Right.
And
Totally.
he's like, "Ah," and he kind of like sits down and he's all blah, blah, blah. And he came in, and this is fine, but about like 12 minutes early. It's important to to the story though, right?
Yeah.
So, we spent about 2 minutes doing that. I'm still cutting. I'm finishing up on
Mhm.
Andrew,
Yeah.
and I'm getting him ready for his next shave, which is literally the last thing I do before these guys get out of my seat, right? This person who's been here multiple times knows this, right? And he's still kind of huffing and he's like, "Well, if you're just busy today, I can just come back another day." And I'm like,
Wow.
"What?" I'm like, "Well, Scott, like 10 minutes, you're here early. It's still Andrew's time
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to finish up with him. And then once I'm done with him, it'll be your turn,
Yeah.
you know?"
Absolutely.
And he's like, "Well, by the time you get done, it'll probably be past my time."
Oh my
And I'm just like,
gosh.
"What is this guy's like? You're acting like my toddler. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, what is
I
your deal right now?"
know. Yeah.
And so I was like, "Well," and I was kind of fed up. I was like, "Well,
Yeah.
sir," I'll just say, but I'm not going to say his name. I was like, "If you're so busy today,
Yeah.
that's going to be a problem. Then I
Yeah.
hope you have a great day."
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's kind of just like
Exactly.
my kind of thing.
And you just yeah.
And he's like, "Well," he goes, "Well, and he kind of sits there and he's like, and then he's quiet for a bit, and I'm finishing up with Andrew, right? And it's
Mhm.
kind of awkward now at this
Mhm.
point, right? Because I didn't even mean to have an argument with him. Like,
Yeah.
I thought we are just talking policy and stuff and how you
Right.
doing. And then like things just got like way out of hand. And I'm
Ugh.
like, oh, I'm like,
Yeah.
I haven't even told you that you owe me for last appointment yet. Like, we
Yeah.
haven't even talked about that yet because you
Yeah.
didn't.
He didn't show.
And so then it's quiet for a little bit, and then he goes, "Well, you could have waited till we were alone." And I was like,
You brought
okay.
it up in front of someone
Right,
though.
and so I'm like, "All right, maybe he's feeling a little embarrassed." That wasn't my point.
Yeah.
It wasn't to so I'm gonna clarify
Mhm.
with him, right?
Yep.
I was like, "Well, sir," 'cause again, not gonna say his name.
Right.
I didn't try to I was like, "I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to embarrass you. When I said I was worried about you, that was genuine.
Yeah,
I was actually worried about you. I'm very happy to see you.
right.
Like, I thought like, you were
Yes.
normally here all the time on time, and then when you
Yes.
didn't show, I was really concerned."
Yeah.
Like, so trying to show him that, like, it wasn't me being sarcastic or trying to
Yeah.
call him out. It
Mhm.
was, "I'm happy to see a friend,
Right.
and I'm
Yes.
happy you're okay,"
For sure.
you know?
Yeah. That's
And
interesting. He
that
did
was
not take it that
well,
way.
just like your gentleman, right? That
Yeah.
as soon as I said that, he goes, "That's it," then stands up, grabs my door, and like a little child, he's on my door and looks at me and goes, "I'm leaving," chin up and everything. You know what I mean? Like nose in
Wow.
the air. And I'm like, "All right, have a great day." And
Yeah.
he walks out, walks back in, and looks up in the air again and goes, "I'm not coming back." Like a toddler, right? Like we're having some
Like,
argument, right?
okay.
Yeah, I go, "Have a great day," and he leaves, and I haven't seen him again since. But that was
Oh,
like, it's so funny how like you could try to help somebody out.
yes.
You know what I mean? And it's just
Yes.
that crazy change. But do you
Oh
have one
my
more or no?
gosh. Oh, yes, I do have
Okay,
one
because I
more.
think we're getting close to our time.
Perfect. This will be a great place to end.
Awesome.
So they have not confirmed whether or not I can say their face, say their name.
Say their name.
So if they do, by the time I finish reading this, I'll let you know because but I mean, you know
Oh yeah.
who they are.
Yes.
So a great human, great person, business
Absolutely.
owner here.
Absolutely.
And they have a medical practice here in town. It would fall
Absolutely.
under the medical
It
category.
definitely would.
Um, so, but I'll just leave names out for now, just because I
Just better safe without
want to,
knowing.
unless
Yeah.
they decide. So okay, so I'll read it from this point of view.
Awesome.
I always have a bathroom and a shower at my office in case I want to work out before work. Oh, that's
That's really
cool.
smart. I
I
wish I had
know.
that.
I don't know.
Uh,
I do because it's
one
in my
day.
house, but
Yeah.
but that's cool.
One day.
Okay, I never really locked the door just because everybody knew that that was my bathroom.
Right. That makes sense.
I can see where this
I have a
is going.
feeling.
All right, so on her very first day at my office, what should her anonymous name be?
Ooh, we're making up names.
Yeah, girl's
Okay,
name,
so the girl is gonna be
Annabelle.
okay, perfect. I like it
Okay.
just like the doll.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
but she's
I want
probably
to name him
nicer.
Charlie.
Okay, so this is Charlie that wrote in, but he has a different name, so
Yeah,
we'll
no,
see if
these are fake names.
okay. So on her very first day at my office,
Okay.
Annabelle walked in on me changing in my bathroom.
Oh.
Imagine for the doctor
No, yeah.
of the practice
Right.
walking in. Excellent.
Yeah.
While I was frantically trying to pull
Awesome
up
first
my
impression.
pants and underwear. Oh no.
Oh, so he was full swing. Good God. Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh
Okay,
gosh.
so while I was frantically trying to pull up my pants and underwear, I said, hey, this is my bathroom. The staff bathroom is down the hall. She didn't budge and just sat there in the doorway staring at
Staring?
me.
No.
Tried to argue, saying, well, there was no sign on the door, so how was I supposed to know?
That's not like time and place. This is not the time for that argument. Maybe later you'd be like, "Hey,
Fair.
no, she was trying to."
But also, like, don't fire me because this isn't my fault.
Well, see, and I get that. Like that must have been shock. Like, but also part of me is like, were you just trying to like catch a
Oh,
look,
I
But
know.
I could see that as well, like being an honest mistake to give both the like Annabelle credit. 'Cause I don't know.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
that's so funny.
So
What an
he's
awkward situation. Like, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So it ends with him saying, I finally secured my pants around my waist and then reached to put in my shirt. And
I was
so
like tuck
she's
in his
watching
shirt.
him fully get
She's
dressed.
still just watching him getting dressed.
So he gets his pants, starts tucking his shirt, and
Right.
she finally and slowly turned on her heel and walked out without even shutting the door.
She just
Naturally,
left the door open. Who is this
naturally,
heathen? No, I'm not really
I
just joking.
know. Yeah.
Just joking.
I don't know if
I'm
I'm
just joking.
impressed
I know.
or like, so naturally she was with me for the next 7 years.
That's so funny. I love it. That's so
I mean,
funny.
she's got guts for sure.
Yeah, but like, okay, so
Like,
as a guy, like that would never go the other way around. Like like if that was a dude and a
I
girl,
know.
like reverse it, the dude would be in
It's
jail.
true. It's
Yeah.
true.
But
Well,
here's the thing, funny things happen,
yeah.
situations happen,
Oh my
like, yeah.
gosh,
I'm
that's
not
so
we joke
funny.
about Annabelle. I'm sure she's a great person. I'm not
Yeah,
trying to
yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, that's so
yeah.
funny.
It's so funny.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a
And
really good
I
one.
don't know who it was, like, worse for or better for.
Right.
Like,
No,
I don't
absolutely.
know. It was probably just like, well, they worked together for 7 years, so
Yeah, so I mean, it
they
had
must
to
have got along. Like,
absolutely,
sounds like
absolutely.
she has a strong personality, and that's probably why she succeeded.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's
she's
like,
like, "You didn't leave a sign on the road here."
yeah,
Like,
listen, this
"This
isn't
is
my
on
fault.
you.
This is
I'm
on
gonna
you.
stand here to prove a point."
Yeah.
I mean, kudos a little
That's so
bit.
funny.
Yeah.
It would have been like one step better just to like actually walk past him and then start using the bathroom. Like, because like, what are you there for? You just stood there and walk. Like, okay,
It's like,
if you're
"I'm
there to
here
use
to
the
use the
bathroom,
restroom,
yeah, at least do
so"
your business if you're gonna go there and do it.
Ooh, that would have
That
been
would have been like the next step.
like,
Like, you can put a
yeah.
sign on it's public bathroom
Yeah.
now. Like,
Okay, my question is to
okay,
him,
yes,
and if I'll do a follow-up. If he does approve
absolutely.
using his name, I'm going to ask him,
Hmm.
does he have a sign on his door now?
Ooh, did
Or
you sign up,
or
Chuck?
does he lock his door now?
Yeah,
That's the question.
that's the other thing. Even if
Mhm.
there wasn't a sign, wouldn't you
Mhm.
have a lock?
Mhm. Yeah, but also
Maybe
maybe he
not.
wants to find more long-term employees. So, if so,
I
probably
mean,
not.
yeah,
I
no,
mean,
absolutely.
I don't know. That's a secret sauce
That's a secret
apparently.
sauce to keep it awkward situations.
That is
Yeah,
so
that's
funny.
how
I
you
haven't
keep
heard
people
one
for a
like
long
that
time.
before.
I
Yeah,
love it. That's a good one.
there's some good ones.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we had some great
Some
stories
great stories
today.
today. Good time.
Um,
Episode number
please,
4.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have so officially our next one will, or maybe the one after that, but
We do
within the
have
next month we
a
have our
new,
guest.
yeah, we've got a guest coming.
And then
Confirming times and all
yeah,
that.
and we have uh a few write-in requests, more of the work
Yes.
stories,
Yes.
and then more
Horrible
of
dating
the
stories.
horrible dates. Give us
Yes.
all the
I
details.
want all the
You can
tea.
give us a paragraph if that's all you have, but like if you
Absolutely.
want to write us a 10-minute story, bring it on. If it's good, like
We'll review it. Yeah.
we're down for
And
it.
we'll go through. We're absolutely happy with leaving out names. We'll make up our own names
Mhm.
as you heard today. We can make it fun so you don't have to necessarily
Yeah.
feel like you're calling out other people. Because again,
Mhm.
it's not the point. We're not trying to breed hate between people or
Yeah.
anything like that. We're just trying to have
Yeah.
some fun because we all have
Mhm.
awkward moments in our
Yep. So, and if you have any photos to accompany,
life.
bring it on. Like the
Yeah.
last dating story, we put out the image of the tattoo
Yes.
that one of them
Yeah.
wrote in on.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so and if there's anything else that you think would make a fun topic, we'll work it in.
Yeah. Right in. We'd love to hear.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's been another great episode. I
Mhm.
hope you guys enjoyed. To many more.
Mhm. That's
And
right. Thank you
do we
for
ever forget?
joining the Real Cut podcast.